A very good evening and welcome to the final edition of Yes 101 Visual Radio for today, bringing you the news. I'm Mariam Ganavijaya.
And I'm Nitmini De Silva.
News First headline.
President eyes major economic hub in Hambantota. US offers fourth Qatar to Sri Lanka, deepening defense ties. Sri Lanka could get $500 million from ADB in 2024, says country director. Israel and Hamas clash throughout Gaza as talk of ceasefire resurfaces. Lead to undergo surgery for knee injury.
Moving on to the top story, President Ranil Wickremesinghe highlighted his plans for Hambantota, envisioning it as a pivotal hub for infrastructure development and connectivity. This was during a recent discussion on the plans for strategic tourism zones in the eastern province, the Colombo city and the western region and Greater Hambantota. He stressed the importance of leveraging the extensive investments already made in infrastructure in Hambantota despite previous challenges. He also highlighted plans to link Hambantota to the Myanmar port, with further extensions anticipated up to Chongqing in eastern China and down to Africa. The discussion also focused on the development of Trincomalee as a major investment zone in collaboration with India.
Meanwhile, the United States has announced its intention to transfer a fourth medium-endurance cutter to Sri Lanka, further strengthening defense and maritime cooperation between the two countries. Sri Lanka and the United States have explored opportunities to deepen defense and maritime cooperation between the two countries during the visit by Deputy Secretary of State for Management and Resources, Richard Verma, to the island nation. A $9 million transfer will be contingent on congressional approval.
Now moving on to other local news, country director of the Manila-based Asian Development Bank, Takafumi Kadono, said Sri Lanka could receive $500 million in support from the Asian Development Bank in 2024 based on the progress of policy reforms. Meanwhile, Takafumi Kadono said the Asian Development Bank expects Sri Lanka not to reverse its International Monetary Fund-led policy reforms despite elections soon. He told Economy Next, quote, "If that kind of reversal happens, we also cannot justify our support," unquote. He said, quote, "We do expect these policy reforms to be sustained, so that is our expectation. That is the premise which we are providing our budget support. If they reverse, the whole premise will be collapsed. That kind of policy reversal cannot happen," unquote.
International news.
In international news, Israeli troops and Palestinian gunmen clashed throughout the Gaza Strip over the weekend as mediating countries sought common ground for a possible ceasefire that would release hostages held by Hamas. Prospects for securing any truce looked uncertain, however, with Israel saying it was in parallel planning to expand its sweep to destroy Hamas, while the Islamist faction stood firm on its demand for a permanent end to the nearly 5-month-old war. The resident said Israeli forces shelled several areas of the enclave as tanks rolled into Beit Lahia, and soldiers and gunmen waged running battles in Zotun sector of Gaza City, both in the north, which had been conquered early in the offensive.
Sports news.
Jack Leach is said to have surgery on his left knee to remove the remaining swelling that cut short his test tour of India. England's left-arm spinner sustained the injury during the first test in Hyderabad after jarring his knee on the ground while diving near the boundary on day 1.
And with that, we wrap up Yes 101 Visual Radio for today. Thank you very much for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Mariam Ganavijaya.
And I'm Nitmini De Silva.